This is Akashvani, a review of today's Parliament proceedings, read by Saira Mujtaba, first from the Lok Sabha. Writer is Asim Kamal. The Lok Sabha today passed 4 key bills, including the National Sports Governance Bill and the Income Tax No. 2 Bill amid din, as the opposition continued its protest over the special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar. Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia described the National Sports Governance Bill as the single biggest reform in Indian sports since independence. The National Anti-Doping Amendment Bill was also passed when the Lok Sabha reassembled at 2 p.m. after an early adjournment due to opposition's protests. Referring to the National Sports Governance Bill, Mandavia said that it is the single biggest reform in sports since independence. He said this bill will ensure accountability, ensure justice, and best governance in sports federations. The minister said it will have massive significance in India's sports ecosystem and stressed that it is unfortunate that such an important bill and reform does not have opposition's participation. The opposition leaders were not present in the House when the bills were introduced for consideration and passage, as most of them were detained while marching towards the Election Commission headquarters against the special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar and alleged voter data fudging. But after 2 MPs participated in the consideration debate, speaking in support of the bill, the opposition members returned to the House and started raising slogans. Amid the din, the bills were passed by a voice vote, following which the House was adjourned till 4 p.m. Speaking in Parliament, Mandavia said the National Anti-Doping Amendment Bill and the National Sports Governance Bill were key reforms aimed at building a transparent, accountable and world-class sports ecosystem in India as the country aims to bid for the 2036 Olympics. He said some ministers in the past made efforts to bring this bill but could not move forward. Mandavia said that in 2011 there was National Sports Code and another effort was made to turn it into a bill. He said it reached the cabinet, there was a discussion as well, but the bill was deferred after that and did not reach the parliament. The Sports Governance Bill has provisions for a National Sports Board, NSB, to create a stringent system of accountability. All national sports federations, NSFs, will have to attain NSB's recognition for access to central government funding. The NSB will have the mandate to de-recognize a national body that fails to hold elections for its executive committee or has committed gross irregularities in the election procedures. Failure to publish annual audited accounts or misused, misapplied or misappropriated public funds would also be liable for action by the NSB, but it would be required to consult the concerned global body before making its move. Another feature is the proposal for a National Sports Tribunal, which will have the powers of a civil court and decide disputes ranging from selection to election involving federations and athletes. Once instituted, tribunals' decisions can only be challenged in the Supreme Court. The bill makes some concessions on the issue of age cap for administrators by allowing those in the bracket of 70 to 75 to contest elections if the concerned international bodies' statutes and bylaws allow for it. It is a departure from the National Sports Code that capped the age limit at 70. The National Anti-Doping Amendment Bill 2025 that seeks to incorporate the changes sought by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, which objected to government interference in the functioning of the country's anti-doping agency, NADA. The act was originally passed in 2022, but its implementation had to be put on hold due to objections raised by WADA. The world body objected to the institution of a national board for anti-doping in sports, which was empowered to make recommendations to the government on anti-doping regulations. The board, which was to comprise a chairperson and 2 members appointed by the central government, was also authorized to oversee the National Anti-Doping Agency, NADA, and even issue directions to it. WADA rejected this provision as government interference in an autonomous body. In the amended bill, the board has been retained, but without the powers to oversee NADA or the advisory role it was previously assigned. The amended bill asserts that NADA's operational independence. When the House met at 4 p.m., the Lok Sabha passed 2 important legislations pertaining to taxation, Income Tax No. 2 Bill and Taxation Laws Amendment Bill. The Income Tax No. 2 Bill 2025 seeks to consolidate and amend the law relating to Income Tax Act 1961. The bill will replace the Income Tax Act 1961. The bill incorporates almost all of the recommendations of the Select Committee, headed by senior BJP member Baijayant Panda. The other legislation, the Taxation Laws Amendment Bill 2025, will amend the Income Tax Act 1961 as well as the Finance Act 2025. It aims to provide tax exemptions to subscribers of the Unified Pension Scheme. These bills were introduced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the lower house earlier in the day. These bills were passed without any debate amid vociferous protest by members of opposition over revision of electoral rolls in Bihar. After the passage of these bills by voice vote, the Lok Sabha was adjourned for the day. Earlier in the day, Speaker Om Birla tried to conduct the business of the House during question hour by allowing members to ask questions related to the Ministry of Environment and Forest amid the din. After about 10 minutes, Birla said the opposition members have been systematically disrupting the proceedings of the House for the last 14 days with their protest. He said this is against the rules and regulations and against the democratic process. Birla told the protesting MPs that people were watching them and then adjourned the House till 2 p.m. The opposition has been demanding a discussion on the SIR exercise initiated by the Election Commission ahead of the Bihar Assembly elections due later this year. And now, a review of proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. Writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. The Rajya Sabha also conducted legislative business, passing 2 bills and returning the Manipur Budget Bill amid the din caused by the opposition. The upper house passed the Merchant Shipping Bill 2025 and the readjustment of representation of scheduled tribes in assembly constituencies of the state of Goa Bill 2025, even as opposition members staged a walkout from the House. The 0 hour and the question hour during the pre-lunch period were, however, washed out amid disruptions caused by opposition members. After the House reassembled at 2 p.m., Sashmit Patra, who was in the chair, said the Manipur Appropriation No. 2 Bill 2025, the Budget Manipur 2025-2026 and the Manipur Goods and Services Tax Amendment Bill 2025 would be taken up together. As the debate on the 3 bills continued, opposition members created din in the House and assembled near the well, raising slogans. Replying to the debate on the bill, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, the opposition has taken interest in Manipur but did not take interest in the Manipur budget. She said they have also voted against the Manipur budget. The minister said 2,898 crore rupees is being sanctioned for Manipur by the Government of India. Of this, a major portion will be spent on capital asset creation. Additionally, portions will be spent on security and rehabilitation of displaced people. The Manipur Appropriation Bill authorizes payment and appropriation of certain sums out of the Consolidated Fund of the State of Manipur for services of the financial year 2025-26. The Manipur Goods and Services Tax Amendment Bill 2025, which seeks to implement the decisions approved by the GST Council, would replace the Manipur Goods and Services Tax Amendment Ordinance 2025. The 3 bills were returned to the Lok Sabha as they were money bills. The upper house then took up the Merchant Shipping Bill 2025 that seeks to increase India's bankability in the maritime sector, besides ensuring safety and security of ships with minimal disruptions. Replying to the brief debate on the bill, Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways Sarbanand Sonowal said, the key focus of the bill is enabling India's bankability in the maritime sector. The bill was passed with a voice vote amid a walkout by the opposition that was protesting in the House and demanding a discussion on the Special Intensive Revision SIR of electoral rolls in Bihar. The Lok Sabha had passed the legislation on 6th of August. The legislation seeks to expand the eligibility criteria for ownership of merchant shipping vessels and provide for investigation and inquiries on marine casualties, among others. The House also saw a brief adjournment for a few minutes soon after the bill was taken up for passage amid the din caused by opposition members. When the House reassembled at 3 p.m., Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge sought to raise the issue of alleged vote theft and their protest march in the House and how they were pretended, but Surendra Singh Nagar, who was in the chair, did not allow him to raise the issue. Leader of the House JP Nadda said the subject being raised by the Leader of Opposition was irrelevant. Nadda strongly condemned the opposition members' conduct in the House and said it was reprehensible. He also slammed the opposition for creating anarchist anarchism and obstructionism through their repeated protest. Speaking on the bill, Sonowal said India has emerged as one of the largest suppliers of seafarers and that the Merchant Shipping Act 1958, which presently governs merchant shipping in India, is outdated. Sonowal said enablement of increasing India's bankability in the maritime sector is the core focus of this bill. He said the welfare, well-being of seafarers and the safety and security of ships with minimal disruptions of the marine environment are the prominent areas in the regulatory framework for the maritime sector. The bill puts greater focus on ensuring safety in navigation and safety of life, protection of marine environment, emergency preparedness, and response to marine incidents. The minister said and put up the bill for passage. Earlier, Golna Babu Rao, YSRCP, said the efficient cargo handling and management of foreign-going ships requires skilled personnel. He said these vessels must adhere to international standards and maritime laws. The Rajya Sabha also passed the Readjustment of Representation of Scheduled Tribes in Assembly Constituencies of the State of Goa Bill 2025 with a voice vote. The Lok Sabha had passed the legislation on 5th of August. Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal said the bill seeks to provide representation to the ST community in the State Assembly. He said of the 40 seats in the Goa Legislative Assembly, 1 seat was reserved for the scheduled caste and there was no representation of ST in the legislature. Meghwal said the proposed legislation seeks to ensure that the scheduled tribe community is not deprived of representation in the State Assembly and proposed that the bill be passed. Earlier, the Rajya Sabha was adjourned till the post-lunch session within minutes of the start of proceedings as opposition MPs continued to raise the alleged irregularities in the Special Intensive Revision SIR of electoral rolls in Bihar. Soon after, listed officials' papers were laid on the table of the House. Slogan-shouting opposition MPs moved into aisles and the well of the House, leading to adjournment of proceedings till 2 p.m. Deputy Chairman Harivansh rejected 29 notices that invoked Rule 267, which allows suspension of listed business to discuss matters being raised by them. As opposition MPs shouted slogans over what they allege as vote chori or electoral theft being done through SIR, Harivansh called for the listed 0 hour, where matters of public importance are raised by members, to be taken up. With opposition MPs unrelenting, Harivansh adjourned the proceedings till 2 p.m. Deputy Chairman Harivansh said that he had received 29 notices on 5 different subjects under Rule 267. He said while 11 notices do not contain a motion drawn in proper terms to obtain a decision of the House, and the remaining 18 notices seek discussion on a matter which is sub judice, and these notices also do not contain a proper motion as per the requirement of Rule 267. He reiterated August 5 ruling that sub judice matters cannot be discussed in the House. Quote, the sub judice principle was included in the rules of procedure for avoiding any undue influence of any discussion in Parliament on a case pending in a court. Rule 238, 5th, prohibits discussion of a person in high authority except on a substantive motion, he said. Additionally, there are precedents and relevant rulings to say that Rule 267 can be used to raise issues rare in nature. Since none of these notices received today are in adherence to the requirement of the rules as enunciated above, I am not admitting any of the notices, unquote, the Deputy Chairman said. Harivansh also said that during the current session, the House had the opportunity to take up 210 starred questions, 210 zero-hour submissions, and 210 special mentions on various important issues so far. However, due to continued disruptions, we have been able to take up only 14 starred questions. He also said that in the last sitting on 8th August, some members raised objections to certain observations by the Chair in respect of Rule 267. That's all in Parliament Review.